What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to Civic Minded. Today we are going to be starting my next long-term mod. You're probably looking at this and thinking, what the hell is that? And what the hell is that? Well, this is sort of the first part of my next long-term modification here, which is hacking the radio. Well, sorta. So you guys are probably wondering, why do this? Why hack the radio? Well, okay, that's sort of a generalized description of what I'm actually doing. What I'm actually trying to do is hack the IE bus, or as Honda calls it, GA-net system that is used to communicate between the radio, the iMid, which is not displaying audio right now, like that, and the Sirius tuner, if you're so equipped, which the connection you saw back there was meant for the Sirius tuner. So there's plenty of reasons why you might want to do this. If you're putting in, I think the biggest one I can think of is if you're putting in an aftermarket radio and you want to retain your audio stations here, and your Sirius tuner if you've got that. Well, this is, oops, my garage light just turned off. This is kind of what you got to do. You kind of got to learn the system. You kind of got to get to know it. I spent the last few months getting to know it, sniffing it, as we call it in the electronics industry. Let me turn the light back on. And what I'm going to be using it for is adding an extra source to this radio. And 10 points if you can figure out what that source is. Let's get another look at the IE bus system and I'll show you what we're dealing with. And the car is an accessory one, so that's why it beeped. Anyway, so this is what the IE bus messages look like. So, and before we get started, I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. A lot of acknowledgement to the works of Mr. Greg Nutt, who did this in his Toyota Avalon to make his climate control system work with his aftermarket radio. This is the same system that's used in Toyota. Honda calls it GA-net, Toyota calls it ABC LAN. And this is how the messages are structured. And this is a device called a sniffer. I put this together. The bottom piece is an Arduino Uno. Those of you familiar with electronics will know what that is. If you're not, it's just a programmable board that lets you write electronics code in C++, which is a very easy language to learn. Top portion is what I built. It's known as a sniffer. That LED is supposed to be lighting up when it gets a message, but the transistor controlling it is backwards, so it's not doing that. But that's tied into, there's the Sirius tuner. That is tied into the wire or connector that would normally plug into the Sirius tuner. We have 3 connections, or 3 wires that go into the Sirius, or IE bus harness. One of them is a ground, that's the brown one. And then we have GA-net, or I'm probably going to call it IE bus GA-net. I'm going to interchange them throughout the video because they're the same thing. It's a differential bus, which means there's 2 signals of opposite polarity. So the orange wire is the positive signal, and the blue wire is the negative signal. From here, this goes to 2 different places inside the car. First is the radio head unit itself, and second is the iMid display up there. So here's what the messages look like that this thing is picking up from the car. This is all live. This is, as a message appears on the bottom, it just, the component that I'll get into in a bit later, or in a bit of detail later, sent. So, B, that indicates, that stands for broadcast. So if that's a 1, that means that the message was sent to a specific device. If it was a 0, it was sent to everything. Not a lot of zeros here. So I think pretty much everything I'm going to be using is a 1. S indicates the sender, the device that is sending the message. 100 is all the devices have unique IDs. So 100 is used for the radio tuner screen, or if you've got the LX and you don't have the screen, that's 100 as well. 111 is the iMid display. So if you see a message that's S100, R111, R stands for receiver. That is a message being sent from the radio to the iMid. Control. I think that's used more on Toyotas, maybe older. I've only seen Fs for this so far, which is a hexadecimal representation of the number 15, which everything here is in hexadecimal, by the way, not regular decimal. LN, message length, pretty self-explanatory, and then the data. This is what we gotta figure out here. And by the way, that 1053 down there, you may have noticed my radio was tuned to 1035. That's not a coincidence, but this is all the bytes of data that are being sent between the 2, and you'll notice that the lengths match. So these are all the length that is stated here. So 2 bytes, 84.2, that lines up. If you want, I can get into more detail on how this system works, how this circuit works, how to build this circuit, which I'll leave the schematic and Gerber files to the circuit and my code in the description. Feel free to use it as you please. I hold no responsibility for anything you do to your radio. But if you want me to go into more detail on that, I would be happy to make a video, just let me know. But enough talk. You notice I got a longer USB cable. Why don't we bring the laptop in the car and I will show you what the system can do. Before I get any further with this, I just want to clarify that you don't have to tap in at your Sirius tuner if you even have that. Lots of cars don't, and it's totally fine. You can totally do this with no Sirius tuner. I just did it because it was the easiest place for me to tap. It's just a piece of carpeting rather than an entire radio that I got to pull out. Other tap locations include the radio itself and the iMid display. Here are the pinouts for each. Important thing to remember is when you're tapping, make sure you back probe instead of front probe as shown in the video, because if one of those devices is not connected, the other is just, those are the only two devices on the network, so there won't be any communication, there won't be any data for you to read. Okay, so first of all, I apologize for the low light in here. It's obviously kind of laid out that 6:15 to those of you Americans out there. But I'm in the garage, we got the light up there, we got a lighted laptop screen. I think we should be good. So, let me get rid of this. So, this is tuned to 103.5. This indicates that it's tuned to 103.5. You see these messages that start with 6711 are starting with 103.5. That is not a coincidence, as I said before. Also, that 5 is not a coincidence because if you look at the preset number 5. A lot of the other data here. So this data here that starts with 4869, that is text. It's in a format called ASCII, and I'll show you what that looks like if this ever stops scrolling. Basically, all you got to do is, I'll copy this message here. Come on, really? What is with this thing? Okay, okay, I think I'm gonna have to stop it. Okay, so if we copy this message here, put it into our hex editor, which I'll open off camera. Here's our hex editor, create new, Control V, operation changes the file size, okay, no problem. And you see it says the word highway, so they're either playing, they're probably playing Highway to Hell. Let's find out. And they are. So that is radio text, which for some reason in this car does not show up there. It kind of should, but it doesn't, so I'll leave it at that. Anyway, so this is going to keep sending 103.5, Highway to Hell, that type of thing. If we tune to a different station, say, what else? You notice that the iMid is changing too. And also, the 103.5s are now 104.7s. So yeah, that message indicates, so I think anything that starts with a 60 changes what is displayed on the iMid. So that's directly affects the text that's on the iMid. I've gotten some of these messages figured out, not all of them. But why don't I go over a couple more and show you in a bit more detail. Okay, so I've turned the radio off, as indicated on the iMid and the radio screen itself. Here I've got a Word document of everything I've sniffed over the past few months, and what I think it all means. Anything highlighted in red is known as a checksum. That is basically, that's a way for the radio, that's like a sanity check between the radio and the iMid. If the checksum that it reads does not compare to what it adds up here, that is, well, it rejects the message and it won't send a reply. But we've got, I'll leave this in the description as well on Google Drive, but if you see here, let's try sending this message. So we can, oops, we don't want to copy the whole thing, that wouldn't be good, but if we copy this in the Arduino software that I wrote here, it allows you to not only read data coming from your radio, but it also allows you to spoof another component. So if I enter S100 and send that, now the Arduino, oops, that needs to be a colon. But now the Arduino is going to send messages with ID 100. So, and if I specify receiver 111, it's going to be sending messages to 111. So, yeah, all good stuff. Now, if I go D, as you can see, I've been doing this quite a bit, and I copy in the message we just read, and we send that, it didn't do anything because we got to tell the IMID that it's an FM message first. So I don't have that written here, though I probably should. Let me know how much of this you want. It can get a bit dry, unfortunately, but this is the big one, the one that starts with 40. That is an indication that the source has changed. Ah, God, this laptop, man. Okay, so we're gonna send D. Oops. Sorry, it is cedar season here, and the cedar is punishing. But if we send that, you can see the display changes to FM. Then if we try sending this message again, 93.3. And I think the actual radio just told it that there's no HD signal because it's off. But yeah, that is a 93.3 there. We can even change the message if we want to make it a non-US standard message. So let's change it to something they'd have in Japan, like 788. And this checksum is obviously going to change. There's a quick way around that. I don't know if it's going to be accurate for everything, but CX is usually what you want. So if you change that to CX, it'll just calculate the checksum on its own and send that. So if we look down here, we'll see the message being sent. Look, we got an 8, and look at that. We are not in America anymore, because that is not a legal FM radio frequency in America. Isn't that cool? So if you're installing a custom radio here, and you want this, guess what? That's how you do it. And that's how you do it. You have to get that radio, or you have to get that data from the radio first, but once you got that, you can just send it using this. Now let's try sending something else. Let's try something a bit more fun. Let's do this. So when we change the CD player, one thing you're going to notice here, so if we look at the message for AM and the message for CD, you'll notice that they're kind of the same, except I believe that is byte number 4 if we start from 0. Yeah. Byte number 4 is different, and of course the checksum's different, and the last 2 bytes are actually different too, and that numbers 4, 5, and 6, those, which we're starting at 0, so this one is number 7. Those, wait, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 4, 5, and 6, those determine what source is being selected. So if we scroll up to FM here, you'll notice that number 4 is also a 7, but then number 6 is a 41. So it interprets that as FM. So if we send 4011.2, and I think I just need to copy this, actually. I don't know why I didn't. Send that with D, changes to CD. Because it changes to CD, and it says reading because the IMID sent the actual radio. It asked the actual radio what the CD story is, and the radio hasn't read a CD since the car's been on, so it can't send anything. But if we go in our Word doc here, I got a lot of CD information here. We'll send this one. We'll make it think it's track 18. And once again, we see ASCII. I'll leave a link to the ASCII table so you can figure out, but this is kind of different because there's actually zeros preceding all these ASCII digits. This is known as 16-bit Unicode, and it's designed so you can show special symbols such as fractions and such. But if we send that track information like this, yep, look at that, track 18, and we're at 000 apparently. So now if we want to send song title, this is kind of where I'm having some trouble. I was able to do this once. One of these 2s indicates that the song title length is 2 digits, or 2 different messages, because the song title is obviously, this is 16 bytes here, the song title is obviously longer than 8 digits, or 8 characters. So one of these 2s also, I believe, indicates that this is 16-bit, because 16 bits is 2 bytes. But, actually, you know what, why don't we get an actual CD playing here, and I'll show you what those messages look like. So CD is going to start. Let's restart this. This is a good song, even though we can't really hear it. Oh, we actually can hear it. So let me turn that down so we don't get flagged. But displays up there, displays there. What is this thing saying? Oops, wrong one. Sorry, the camera's kind of shaky, but all right. So you notice that we're now sending messages every second, and you notice that this byte here, I'm not going to count it when it's moving this fast, is incrementing. That is the second count. And the F0 indicates the minute count. So when we go over a minute, that will be, crap, okay. So it's somewhere here, that was this is the volume key, by the way, being pressed. So it was somewhere before this that we got our text. But somewhere, where is it? 64, 80. Okay, this is the text right here. This is what the radio sent the IMID to show the final countdown by Europe. T, this is a T. H, E, space, 20 is a space. F, some ASCII digits come better to me than others, but I, N, A, anything from A to I is easy. Final, and you see one of these, oh crap. So this is what's confusing. One of these is a 2, and the other is a 12. But this one, what is this one? I think this is the CD title. Maybe. I think we missed the other part of the CD title, unfortunately, but no matter. That EU are okay. Sorry this is getting boring, but this is I don't know what the hell 84 is. I have not figured that out. But nonetheless, that's the CD. This is one of the many things we're trying to figure out here. And as you can see, the timer is still ticking, and we're on 2 minutes now, so that's an F2 now. But I'm gonna kill it. But that's basically, and by the way, when we kill it, the source change comes up, and that's a 0. But yeah, that's basically what we're dealing with. And you also notice that this little storage compartment is missing. That's where my new source is going to go. But anyways, let me get into the adding an external source. And this is kind of where it's the biggest mystery. So if I send this signal right here with the ID 113 to the radio 100, so if I go S:113, E, not E, R:100, D:, that. Oh, whoops, I gotta send another one first. Okay, so if we first go D:1113CX, that is a handshake, I like to call it. You see the radio just sent a bunch of stuff back to 113. And now, if we try sending the message we just tried to send, that happens, indicating that something external is plugged into the system and is reported that it is capable of playing audio. So now if I was to send, which the GA net connectors also carry audio, if I was to send audio over that, we would hear that audio through the speakers. So, and as you can see, we're getting these messages that start with 70. We're replying with 8062, which is sort of a acknowledgement, so to speak. I don't know how to interpret 70 versus 40. I think 70 is just a, hey, be sure you know you're selected, so do that. I don't think I told it that it was selected, but anyway, that does that. What I'm looking to do is I'm looking to change the text here from extension to the actual name of the device, if I can. So you'll see if we go to the main screen here, you'll see it says EXT on top, indicating that it's an extension, not something that came with the car. That 113 is identified as an extension. If we were to send 119, that would be interpreted as the Sirius tuner. That's the message the Sirius tuner sends. So far, that's the only thing that both the radio and the IMID have been able to communicate with. But I'm going to show you something else that the IMID only seems to understand. So if we send, I'm going to send the easy version of this one. Oops, wait. S:116, and then we send 116CX. See, we just sent a whole bunch of stuff here, and it actually looks like the radio might have been talking to it too, but I don't know. 116CX, and I don't... Hang on a minute. Okay, we actually got to send a message from the radio to the iMid, so if we do that, we send that. Look at that! CD changer. So, oh crap, okay, because the radio is on, it's telling the iMid that actually 113 is selected, and that's an extension, so we need to figure that out, but I did just turn the radio off, and I'll send that again, and I'll show you. There, you see that? CD changer, which is very cool. And this, if we were to send a CD changer message to this guy, it would just say extension like everything else. We can also use this system to show, let me change this back. We can also use this system to show the volume indicator on screen. This one right here. So, if we want to do that, we come back to our Word document, copy that, send, got so many tabs open. So if we copy that in, send that, volume control appears on screen, and the volume is not at 10 right now, it's muted. But yeah. Also, you'll notice if we switch to our aux port here that I added in a previous video, the code for that is 224, right there. And then the iMid's acknowledging that aux was selected, and it's sending that back to the radio. And I think this is similar to that load message. By the way, if you're looking to get your clock up here, that is actually done through the CAN bus, which is a different system that I also have the tools to hack, and will make a video on if you want me to. So my next steps here are to create 3D print a device that goes in here, so you can load the source medium that I want to play in this car, and have it send that quote-unquote load message, so the radio switches over. And I haven't found a ton of information online about hacking this system, at least not in a Honda, especially not of this vintage, but I think any information you guys might have about this system, like if you guys know of a way to get a custom message up here instead of extension, please let me know, because I am dying to hear it. If you have any idea of anything I can try looking at this data, just let me know, because I am totally open to anything. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up here, just because I gotta go to the grocery store. It's getting kind of late. I want to do it before it really gets dark. But as always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave me a message, or leave me a comment, shoot me a email, aidancivicminded@gmail.com. Let me know how much more of this you want to see, because I know it can get pretty. I know we're gonna need to get pretty. God, I can't talk. I know we're going to need to get pretty in-depth with the electronics here, especially, you saw the board back there. We're going to have to build something a little bit bigger than that with a lot more components. So, let me know how much detail you want me to go in here. If you want to learn more about the IE bus/GANet system, great, let me know. And if you just want to see me put something down here, well, let me know that too. But I do want to put something down here, and I would eventually like to build a custom Teensy. If you've never heard of Teensy, it's like an extension of Arduino that lets you do graphics. At least that's what I've heard. It's a more powerful version of Arduino, I think. Maybe someone will probably correct me on that, but I do want to do a custom radio in here that's based on a Teensy that will retain backward compatibility with that. And I guess, as always, drive safe, have fun, and I will see you in the next one. And don't worry, we got other mods coming too.